And we're live on the air at location. No, we're not at a location. We're in the same location we always are. How come you look like you're sitting
I think
away?
the monitor's pushed back. See? Okay.
Are you happy now?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Is this your good side?
No.
No, because you don't have a good side. Screw on. Whatever. Hello, everybody. I trust you can hear us and see us and whatnot with it all. So who's here? Angel's here. Hi, Angel. And Judy's here. Hi, Judy. Mary Ann Kushner is here from Pittsburgh, PA. And Andy's here. Hi, Andy. Patsy and Marjorie and Donna and Jeannie and Laura and Paula. Romper, stomper, bumper, boo. Tell me true. Did all my friends have fun at play? And I miss Shirley or Miss Tracy or whatever.
I've never heard of that saying.
What? You never heard Romper? You never watched Romper Room?
No, not really.
Well, I didn't watch Romper Room either because that was more something my sister and my brother watched. But I mean, where we used to live, we could only get like 3 channels, but it used to come on one of them.
Yeah, that's because you had younger siblings.
Yes, I did.
I only had old siblings.
Oh, that's right. You were just watching as the stomach turns or something with your mother.
No.
Ron, you made it. We've been thinking about you, Ron. What's your situation like down in Nova Scotia with the big storm? Suzanne's here. Hi, Suzanne. Thanks, Suzanne. Yeah, because I was wondering if you'd gotten blown away or not, Ron. We're hoping not.
No, hoping not.
Yeah. So do tell us. And did I miss anybody that came in here? That's it. Andy says, hi, Marianne. Janine and I lived in Pittsburgh. Really liked the city. Oh, okay. Yeah. You used to live there, didn't you? But anyway, so I suppose we can get started because we got a real mishmash of all kinds of things to talk about, bitch about, complain about, or whatever. I guess it's not any different from any other week.
Yeah. Hope all you guys that are out in the East Coast didn't get
drowned,
washed away or blown away or whatever.
Really. That's really bad out there. Hi, Mozilla, and hi, Wendy, and hi, Teresa. Even Stephen and Walter joining you whilst working on my mystery quilt. Oh, okay. Well, it's a mystery to us. And here's another mystery. I don't know who Stephen is, the one with the PH. That's not me. I'm with a V. V for victory. The right way to spell it.
Step hen.
With a V. That's step hen. I don't know. Yeah. Just pulling your leg, Teresa. Well, not really. It's true.
No problem. Lost power for 20 hours.
Had 2 small trees down. No damage. Hi, Janet.
Okay. Well, that sounds positive.
Yeah, good, because we've been seeing reports where people's houses have gotten, well, I think that was more in Newfoundland, wasn't it?
Yeah, Newfoundland got a few houses washed off. So much for having beachfront property.
Yeah, Angel says rain for a bit here on the east side of PA, but nothing too bad. Yeah, well, I guess the Atlantic provinces are getting really hit with it. I think we might be getting a little bit of the remnant today because it's been raining here all day. I'm not sure.
No, I don't think it's gone off to Greenland.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Oh, I hear there's nothing there. Carry on to Iceland is more interesting. Whatever.
I don't know what we're getting the remnants of. I haven't really checked. I was more concerned about what was going on in the East Coast.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we could be blown away and we didn't know. No, well, it's the one thing about living where we live. We don't have this kind of stuff.
Not usually.
Well, not since Hazel. That was 1954, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it 56?
I think it was 54 because that's the year my parents immigrated to Canada.
Oh, that's why we had the problem.
And they heard that people kept saying, big storm coming to my parents who could barely speak any English. And my parents going, big storm. So they stayed home and they said it was awful to them anyway. And they were going, oh no, what have we done? We've immigrated to this country. And they have these big storms all the time.
Yeah. Well, anyways, yeah, so we're lucky where we live pretty much. So
except that we did have that one storm pass through earlier this year that
that
blew a lot of shingles off the houses.
Well, the microblast or whatever that was, or whatever they call that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a really bizarre thing, and a lot of people lost shingles, and trees were uprooted here
Yeah.
and things like that.
But still not what they're going through in the East Coast.
No,
So,
ours only lasted for a few seconds.
yeah, that's right. Marilyn's here. Hello, Marilyn. So, anyways, let's get on with today's show. So, what's Walter working on?
Not much.
He says to me when he comes down, "Do you always wear that same shirt?" And I said, "I got two of them
Yeah.
that look very much the same." I said, "Maybe if you got the one done."
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about it today. I should
Yeah,
get
you
going
think a
at it,
lot.
but I still have some caulking to do. So
Oh, you've got what to do?
caulking,
No. Eddie's here. Hi, Eddie.
caulking around the windows, so
Okay,
we don't get
that's
blown,
what you call it.
so we don't get cold air in the wintertime.
Is that like dicking around the street, cocking around the windows? Whatever. Eddie says, great interview with Kawartha Quilting. They seem like really nice people. Yes, they are, Eddie.
Yeah, they're very, very nice people.
And they've got a good website as well for ordering things. It's very efficient. And yeah, I like doing that interview. It was great.
Yeah, the one thing though that came out, and it seems to come out every once in a while when we're doing stuff, is that the price of the fabrics
Yeah.
at a place like Kawartha Quilting or other places in Canada. And what problem is a lot of people don't understand the difference between our Canadian dollar and the American dollar.
Yeah.
And I figured it out that like if a fabric costs $20 a meter here in Canada, it works out to approximately about $13.70 US a yard.
Yeah. But
So-
an awful lot of, and I'm sorry, this isn't a slant against Americans, but a lot of Americans don't seem to, or at least don't convey that they understand how exchange works. The difference in our dollars. Our dollar and most money in the world is usually compared to whatever the going rate is with American dollar. So every day on the news, we hear our dollar is worth 70 some cents
Actually,
American.
it's a little lower right
Well,
now
now-
because apparently I looked it up.
Well, how much lower than 70 some?
It's right now. It costs us $1.34 to buy $1 American.
Holy
So,
crap. So, I mean, that's it. I know it's kind of mind-boggling trying to figure it in your head as well. But put it this way. Fabric in the States is cheaper for the Americans to buy it than it is if they were to buy Canadian fabric. And for us to buy American fabric, we have
what
to...
are you saying?
No, I'm trying to get this...
You're mixing me all up now.
Well, it's easy. You're nuts. No. Okay. Someone wrote a comment and said, you should come down here and buy your fabric because it would be cheaper. Well, no, it wouldn't be, because we would still have to pay for it in our money one way or another. Yes, we could go to the bank and get American money and go down to the States and buy something, but we would be buying the American money with our Canadian money. So there's no advantage to us except
that cost us money to drive down there.
Yeah. and
or even if we order stuff from the US, what ends up happening is everything gets converted to Canadian dollars, which it still costs us the same. And we have to pay duty on top of that.
Yeah. So, yeah, Americans have the better deal as far as fabric prices are concerned.
But see, the thing is a lot of people hear the word dollar.
Yeah.
And they automatically assume it's the same as their dollar. Our dollar is different than the American dollar. The Australian dollar is different than the American dollar.
Yeah.
And people hear that word dollar and they suddenly think it's the same.
Yeah, and it's not. It does get very confusing, especially if you're trying to buy something online. And to add a little bit more confusion in it, there are some businesses online in Canada that they charge in American dollars. I'll give you an example. I belong to, the Quilter's Way, which is an online membership group. And if you were to join that, I think the rate right now is, it was about $11.99 a month, but it was in US dollars. So it's basically cost me on average closer to $14 every month for that. Um, and I asked the owner of that site why she was Canadian, why she was putting it in American dollars. And basically it's because of the system that she's using, she says, for the charges and stuff, the company she goes through, that's why it's in American dollars. But you've got to watch that sometimes because there are other businesses in Canada online that do something similar. They will quote you prices and you'll look at them, and because you know they're in Canada, you think they're quoting in Canadian dollars, and they're not always. Now, sometimes they have a little button you can push that will do a conversion, like they default it to US dollars, but you can go up and do a drop down and default it to Canadian dollars, and then you'll see it in Canadian money, which I prefer to know like that than having to do the calculations in my head all the time. So it is very, very confusing, to say the least. So no, there's no advantage to us coming down to the States and paying, buying the fabric in the States, unless we got a really fantastic deal on something. Like it would have to be really fantastic because we're still going to be paying for it in our own money. Because it's just
the only other reason we would shop in the U.S. is if we can't happen to get it in our area or something like that. So Barb was saying, is her last name Kawartha? And
No.
Laura already says, no, it's there's an area in that the store is located in that's called the Kawartha region or the Kawartha area. So that's why it's called.
That's
Kawartha.
where their name comes from. Yeah. Laura says, and we'd have to declare it at the border too. That's ridiculous to think we'd say, yeah, of course. So everything's against us as Canadians.
One, it would cost us to go to the U.S., or even if we order directly from the U.S., we still end up having to pay duty when it comes across.
Yeah.
So there isn't really any large advantage for us to.
No.
I mean, you might, depending if the fabric's on sale, you might get it. It might be a little cheaper, but it really isn't. If it's not on sale, there's probably no difference.
Yeah. Angel says, so when I go to Kingston next summer, would it kill me in fees to bring fabric up?
No. You're thinking of we as Canadians have to pay duty,
but Americans don't.
If you bring fabric up, you may be able to sneak it across the border without having to pay duties. I'm not sure how that works if Americans come up. But
well, I think first of all, they always ask you, what are you bringing into the country?
Yeah.
So you don't say anything about fabric. Pack it in a suitcase, kind of a thing. And then there's a certain dollar amount that gets suspicious. Now, if you were bringing in thousands of dollars worth of fabric, yeah, they'd probably nail you because they figure you're bringing this up for sale up here. But if you were just bringing up, a couple of $100 worth for a friend or something.
But I mean, if you just buy, like if you in the U.S., if you buy, Northcott fabric or something like that, once you convert it to Canadian dollars, it still ends up being about the same as what we would pay for it. I mean, different stores up here charge different prices. Yeah. Some places will charge a little more than other places. Here we can get fabric anywhere from about 16, 17, 18.
The average is more 20. Like about $19 or $20.
Yeah, that's the average. But there are some stores that sell it a little bit cheaper. So you may go to those stores instead.
Yeah.
To purchase fabric if they have what you want. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. It gets very confusing. Let's see. Just seeing what Tracy here. Hi, Tracy, from North Bay. Oh, okay, that's nice. Yeah, Laura says you might have to pay import duties. That's a possibility.
Yeah, like we order from the U.S., like from fabric.com or from another fabric store in the U.S., then we have to pay. We almost always have to pay duties when it comes across the border. So our duties is basically our sales tax, which is about 13%. So everything that comes across the border, we have to pay an additional 13%. And then in some cases, depending on how it's shipped, we may have to pay a brokerage fee, which costs more. So,
okay. So Jenny says $8.99 where I shop. Is that $8.99 American?
Okay, and is that for premium fabric like Northcott? Yeah. Like, I mean, I went on Joann's fabric store and looked at what they had, and it was cheaper in price.
Because it's crap.
But we don't buy that kind of fabric. We buy high-quality fabric all the time.
Hoover's, Bernina, Mifflinburg, PA. And is that a yard? I'm assuming it's a yard by that. Okay, $8.99. All right, that's a good price, but that would be...
So hang on, let me take a look here. $8.99 American.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Uh,
Angel says, well, if I have to be stuck there for 2 weeks, you better believe in taking fabric.
uh,
Angel, why are you saying being stuck? Aren't you in PA? I would consider that being stuck.
So yeah, $8.99 American works out to $12.24 Canadian, and that's for a yard, right?
Yeah.
So
So basically, that is a good price.
yeah,
But we can't get that price because we'd still have to pay shipping if we were to
yeah.
and go it. The only way we could get that is we'd have to physically go there and at that price. And then again, we have the whole thing. We'd have to possibly declare it coming across. And then we get hit with duties. So we don't win. We just don't win. Hi, Gail. Who did I not say hi to? I saw someone come in. Math Geek. Hi, Math Geek. And Marianne is here. Hi, Marianne. Yeah, but it's work related. Oh, I see, Angel. Okay.
Yeah, so it would cost us for $8.99 American. It would cost us $13.26 a meter.
A meter.
Right now, we can go and get stuff that's on sale. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that store that we went to get the fabric for your sister's table runner.
Yeah.
Remember, we went
That
to
was
a
a good
place
price.
in Toronto, and it was about $10.50 Canadian
A meter.
for a meter. So,
Which is like, wow, that is sensational. But the reason it was cheap is because it was discontinued.
it was an end of line.
It was an end of a line, and she
Yeah.
was trying to get rid of it. So that's why it was that. That's rare that we ever come across a bargain like that. Ginny says, come stay with us. And Cheryl Hogan says, hi, Cheryl. I usually pay $12 to $16 a yard at our quilt shops in Michigan.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you go,
That'd be about our...
I mean, if we buy Kona, which is plain fabric, right?
Yeah.
It's
solid.
It's cheaper.
Solids are always cheaper. But
Yeah. So so 1031 or whatever I took a thing for that fabric that you bought is $7.57 a meter actually in US dollars.
I am.
And so yeah, we can get stuff that's cheaper if you want to look around. You said $16 a yard, yeah, that's
So that would be about 20.
like
21?
I said, no, it's more than 21.
Is that more than 21?
1370 or something is 20. If it's
Okay.
1370 American, it's $20 Canadian.
So that's about 23 or 24 at the
Yeah.
high end of it.
Which is more than what we
That
would
would
pay.
be more than what we pay. Although there are some fabrics that you could pay that for, but anyways, it's just what do you call it? A shit show when it comes to trying to buy fabric, at a reasonable price anymore. But that's the price we pay for our hobby. Okay, so Walter hasn't been making anything. He hasn't finished my other shirt yet. He's got Christmas bags to make yet. Busy doing what? I don't know. But I've been busy. Yep. Got pictures to prove it.
Yeah, $16 US fabric, just for going back to this, would be $23.59 Canadian.
Holy shit.
We never paid. I never pay in that.
Well,
price.
no, it has to be made out of silk. But anyways, what have I been working on? Okay, here's my venture into the quilt that for applique. This is a block of the month, the one I showed you I think last week or that, called Color Splash. Well, I had my first class tail end of last week, and our first month was to do the center block, and this is what the center block looks like, and it's all applique. And if I do say so myself, I think I did a pretty good job of that. I used a variegated thread, although it is showing up in this picture as being primarily white, but it wasn't. It was sort of golds and reds and greens and things. I didn't want to have to keep changing my thread for each color on there, because I'd be doing it still. But I think it turned out pretty good. But there's more applique to do in this quilt with the next month. The whole quilt is a lot of applique. But by the time I get this quilt done, I think I will know how to do applique. And actually, this is raw edge applique, and luckily this stuff is batiks. All of the fabrics in this are batik, so no fraying. So it makes life really easier to do that kind of thing. Um, Now, what you see here is the other class I'm taking. This is actually an in-person class, and it's the one block wonder panel. And so you have 7 panels, all the same. You take one away, you pile up 6 of them. You have to, it's a bit of a tedious task to get them all lined up, and then you cut them into long strips, and then you cut the strips into triangles. Lots and lots of triangles. And you sew the triangles together. So you put, and the way you arrange the triangles gives you patterns. So it creates hexagons, but you're actually creating half hexagons.
So it becomes more of a kaleidoscope, right?
Yeah, it's a kaleidoscope effect on it. It's kind of neat how it'll all work. It'll look pretty neat when it's all done, but oh my God. Now, when I took this picture, I had just started sewing the triangles together. I've got a big pile of them now, but I still have all kinds of them to sew together before I can start laying this sucker out. So that's what I'll be doing in the class tomorrow. Luckily, the class is pretty much a whole day in length because I'm going to need that to finish up this part of it. But it's not a hard process. It's just a lot of cutting and a lot of sewing triangles together. So that's the other project. So I've been making in the hoop Christmas stockings as well. Here's a couple of them. I've got about 4 of them made now. My idea is that this year when I give out things to like the ladies at Ultimate Sewing and that, I'll stuff some of their little goodies I've got made and that in these socks for them. And it might be good for our great nieces. You know, fill them full of sugary kind of sweets to put them over the edge, because nothing says, you know, crazy child, you know, sugar overload at Christmas. And even possibly for the ones that are adults, my nephew and niece as well. Oh, okay, I'll come back to that one later. So that's what I've been up to. And let me just get my screen over so we can see what people are saying. Oh, everybody seems to like those, so that's great. Anita's here. Hi, Anita. Cheryl says, if you ever get back to Toronto, I'll ask for a shopping list for you. If I ever get back to Toronto, I'll ask for a shopping list for you. Okay. Not sure what that meant. Thank you, thank you. Everybody's loving the colors and stuff like that. Jenny says, beautiful. They are doing that at Hoover's. To right N. Okay, spell checker just kicked in autocorrect. You never know what it's going to come up with. Yep. Yeah, so stay tuned. I'll show you all those things as things go on. Now, that brings up something that somebody asked me in a comment section. It was a new subscriber to the channel and wanted to know why I did the same thing in all my videos. Basically, what I think she would, well, she did qualify it. She was referring to the quilts when I show those. And yes, if you watch my vlog, you'll usually see what I just showed you now. If you watch the Idiot Quilter, you'll see that again. But there's a difference. In the vlog, I just touch on it. I just say, okay, I've been working on these. This is what I've been up to. And I don't go into any elaborate detail about each one. But I will show them as, and usually they are slightly different because I've gotten, if they're a work in progress, I've got more done. And I'll talk about it in more detail because my vlog is for like everybody. The Idiot Quilter is more for people who quilt and sew and that kind of thing. So I'll get into more details about what I'm creating. On So Chatty, we might again just show them, but we might use them as a jumping off point to talk about some aspect of sewing as well. So yes, there are some things for somebody who hasn't been around for a while think, well, what are you doing? Just repeating this 3 times over. But no, they're different in what I talk about or how I address them as well. I suit it towards the I don't know, characteristics of the particular episode that we're doing with that. So just want to clarify that for anybody. So let's talk about the retreat, and let's talk about Craft and Chat and something new that I've just started today. So the retreat. The announcements, email announcements went out to everybody that was on the mailing list for the retreat. They went out on Thursday. On Friday, I put up the special video about the retreat where I go over all the details about it. And there's also a link, and there will be a link in all the show notes for everything now up to the day of the retreat that takes you to a Google document that you can open up or download to your computer, and it has all the same details as what was in the email for those of you that got the email and what I talked about on the video. But just in case you can't find the email or you're not on my mailing list for the retreat, that's another place where you can get it. And there'll be more updates as we get closer to the day of, but I want to just point out a few aspects about the retreat. Right now, I've had 41 people as of this moment in time already register. And yes, you have to register. Okay? That's the only way I can guarantee a spot, as I said in the videos and in the emails for you, because I have a limited number of spots with my Zoom license. Now, right now, there's lots of room. Okay? But I have a feeling it's going to fill up very quickly if the last couple of days is any indication of this. So, if you're thinking about going, kind of make a determination for yourself as to whether or not you really want to go or not, because there's no guarantee there'll be a spot available the day or even a couple of days before or even the day of. There might be. And if there is, yeah, by all means, I'll let you in, but there's no guarantee of that. Second thing is, I will establish a waiting list if I get up to where I go over the number of people I can handle. Right now, the number I can handle is about 92. Okay. So what'll happen is, if it fills up and somebody else wants to register after it's filled up, I will put their name on a waiting list. And if somebody drops out because, life happens, kind of a thing, then I'll fill their spot with someone from the waiting list. And I'll just do the waiting list in first come, first serve. So, if you're the first person on my waiting list, you'll be the first person to get in at a spot. That means that I really do want to press upon people who have registered that if something happens and you can't come, please send me an email to let me know so I can fill that spot with somebody that could be on the waiting list. And I know there's all kinds of circumstances out of people's control, and that's fine. But if it is possible for you to get that information to me in advance, I'd appreciate it. And I'm sure other people on the waiting list would appreciate it as well. Now, in that letter, there was also a date. I said October 16th, which is the Monday before that Saturday, where if you're going to send me a picture, let me put this up, one picture of one of your favorite creations or something you want to show off for the show and share slideshow, please send that to me as soon as possible. It does take me a while to make that slideshow, so that's why I have a cutoff date of October the 16th. And the reason I'm asking for only one picture is I like to have the show and share, enjoyable, but reasonably brief. I don't want to take up the whole day showing hundreds of pictures. So, if somebody sends me 4 or 5, and it's happened before, I'm going to pick the one I like best out of the grouping and show it. And I'm sorry. You do not need to send me an explanation of the picture, what we're seeing, what the pattern was, who you made it for, nothing, because I will ignore that. Why, you may ask? Am I being nasty? No. I want to use your name, your first and last on the slide. There's your creation. If I was to put in your blurb about it, again, it's going to make the slideshow way too long. Okay? And to be honest, it's a lot of work for me to type all that stuff into the slideshow. Well, I cut and paste, but there's always things I have to do to correct it, and I got to make them fit in. So I'm trying to be efficient with this as well, both from the time point of view for the participants and for my time as the organizer too. So one picture per customer, and all I need is your first and last name, please. And you'll hear me harping on this. I need your first and your last name in all cases. And I'll explain why that is. I could have 12 Lisas. I could have 3 Donnas. Take a look at today on the chat on here. Okay, we have duplicate names. If I don't know your last name, I don't know who I'm talking about, who I'm giving credit to.
And you got to remember that your name is only really being displayed to other people that are in the Zoom, not publicly displayed all over the place. So,
which brings up the other point. It has to be your real name. Okay? I have had in the past people who use a pseudonym for one reason or another. Okay? But again, it gets confusing because they go on to the Zoom and they've got a different name that comes up on their Zoom title bar than from the name I have in my registration. And that's how I will check attendance, so to speak. Okay, must be the teacher in me. But as people come in on the day of the retreat, I will check their name off on my list. And if you come in and it says something else, I won't know who you are. I won't let you in, because this is my way of protecting, making sure our space is safe, that I don't have a troll coming in there. Okay, I don't want to pull what I call a genie. And what that means is, one time, if you hadn't heard the story, Jeannie was in Craft and Chat, and we had some crazy, it sounded like a Russian, blasting us with music and all kinds of stuff. And I was trying to eliminate this person. They kept coming back. And so when I figured out how to block them, I accidentally clicked on Jeannie, because she was just above in my list. And I blocked Jeannie out of it. So
by accident, and took you a little while to get her back.
Yeah. So I don't want to do that to anybody. Okay. So please, your real first and last name. Okay. Now, the other thing too about using your names and everything on there is what I just said about, you know how there's a little title bar that says your name at the bottom of your little square in Zoom. You need to make sure that before you log on, that when you get into Zoom, you go into, if you don't have your real name there, both first and last, go in and change it to that. Now, I will be able to do that from my end, but what I have to do then is I have to interrupt everybody. I have to say to you, okay, I need to change iPad user. That's very common, because a lot of people go on with their iPad, and since they didn't use their name, they just went for the default. What Zoom does is puts in the name of the device you're calling from, that you're connecting with. So, iPad user kind of a thing. Not a good name, unless you were christened that. Hello. Oh, would you like to meet my child? It's iPad. Oh, would you like to meet MacBook?
Jeannie says you don't want to be a genie.
Yeah, you don't want to be a genie. So that's why, I know that these may seem all very picky to you, but they make my job as coordinator of all of this so much easier. Okay? So I just ask you to do those kind of things. Now, I will be putting out reminders about all of this. And if by chance you come on and you don't know how to change it, as I said, I can do it at my end once you're in. Okay? So, yeah. But try. Okay? Try. And there'll be some other, not rules, but guidelines, like when you're not talking directly to everybody, turn your microphone to mute, because your sewing machine may activate the little screen. If people are sitting on speaker view, what'll happen is, if your machine is loud enough, or your husband walks in or your wife walks in and starts talking about what you're having for lunch, or you've got grandchildren, okay, let's talk about children and pets. Okay? Now, again, you're going to say, oh, screw him, I'm not going to this, too many rules. No, here's the problem.
It's just if there's a lot of background noise, and
you will become the center of attention,
and you're not on mute, then you become the center of attention. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard somebody come on and accidentally get a phone call, and they're having a personal conversation, and everybody can hear what the personal conversation is.
Now, I want to give you an example. I'm going to pick on somebody that's on here. Ron. Ron, will have a conversation with his wife, and it comes across. He becomes the center of attention on there. And I'm going, Ron, oh, Ron. Turn
No,
on. And he doesn't hear me because he's in another room or something, but we can hear it. Or something. You know, so I'm not picking on Ron, you know, no kind of thing. I'm just using an example because I find it kind of funny. But the problem is we can hear your conversation. And that goes with telephone calls. Someone's phone will ring and they're having this major conversation, and everybody else can hear
Yeah, like
exactly
I'm
what
on
you're
that
saying.
stupid Zoom thing with these stupid
Yeah,
other
different
people.
Yeah, like, oh my God, what kind of clown are they? This kind of stuff. So it will be something I will remind people, but it's a good habit to mute your microphone until you want to speak, for sure. And that way there isn't a lot of noise or interference. And so back to children and pets. Okay, the grandchild runs in, Grandma, 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 Grandma. And Grandma's going, shh, Grandma's busy. Grandma, 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 shh, Grandma's busy. Grandma, Grandma, bang, and the quiet child is dead. No, no.
Now,
If
mind you, you can mute them too.
Yes,
If you,
I
yeah.
can mute them too. But when I have this many people on at once, it takes me a little bit of time to figure out who's speaking because I have to watch the thing light up and go, oh, mail. And it seems rude that I'm shutting you up. That's what I'm doing. I'm going, shut up when I hit the mute button, kind of a thing. So, these are little things, I know, but it just makes the experience more enjoyable. But I will go over all of those again for the day because I know not everybody is comfortable with Zoom. Um, and it takes a little time to get used to it. So
And it's easy to forget your microphone's on.
yeah, it's very easy. Can be embarrassing. Can be. We've had a few moments in Craft and Chat or on Pop-Up So Days that have been a little embarrassing. Okay, so all right. What are people saying here?
Yeah, you don't want to be Jeannie was the last one thing. Ginny, there's only one Ginny, so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you don't want to be Genia. Kathy says it's easier to rename yourself as a participant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Dana says, "Hi Dana, thanks for the email you sent out today. Easier for me to find the link for this chat." And Dan says 76 watching. Come on, click the like icon. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Dana wants you all to hit the like icon. Okay, do that. Thank you. Tracy Albert says, I think I heard you mention before, Stephen, but there is no cost of it. It's absolutely free. Absolutely free. No charge.
Yeah, and we won't be putting up a commercial or anything.
There will be no commercials. I do not record this or anything like that, so rest assured. The only thing I may record, and I have the permission of the presenters, is I will record their part when they do their presentation, so I can broadcast it later for those who weren't able to join us on that day, because I think the three presenters are going to be really, really interesting. There's a good variety for that. And of course, there's prizes as well. I'm working on those as we speak. I'm not going to tell you what they are right now, although you can probably guess. If you've been to the retreats before, yeah, you can guess with it. But there might be a couple of other newbie things happening with that too. So yeah, but it's absolutely free. Okay. And if you're on my retreat mailing list, or even this list I'm creating of the registered people, don't worry, I don't give that out to anybody. So you're not going to get advertisements or anything like that for it. Nope. That's just from me. Just me. Okay. No cat butts, people. Oh, okay. You can have cat butts. You can show your pet. I've got nothing against pets, except, if
Unless they're barking in the
unless
background.
the doggy's barking his head off, that kind of thing. But please bring your pet if you want and show them to us if they're well behaved, and especially your kitties, because I love the kitties. I like dogs too, but the kitties, I like the kitties. Kathy says the default is to pin the speaker. That person shows up big on the screen. Yeah. And what I usually do is if there's somebody showing something or talking, I don't get any sewing done on this. I'll tell you that right now. I feel like I'm in a control center in a TV station being a director for it all, because I do pin people up. So, bigger picture so we can see it, especially when you have this many on there. It makes it easier. And I'll do the same with the guest speakers and all that kind of stuff. So I am in mission control. I'm running 3 computers at once for this. Plus Walter. Walter's co-moderator on it, though he doesn't do a hell of a lot. But anyways, okay, I'm losing stuff here. Sherry says, hi, Sherry. Stephen, these are good rules and tips. Many of us are not on Zoom often, and it's good to know these things. Yes, and I realize that. I'm on Zoom all the time, so I'm used to this kind of stuff, but I realize other people are not so comfortable with it. Laura says she's guilty of the cat butt thing. Well, you know what cats do.
Yeah.
They want to be the center of attention. They hop up and immediately turn around. This is my ass, and I can lick it. Can you do yours? They just start showing off. Cheryl says, feel free to shut people up. Okay, I will. Laura says, my cat jumped up and farted while I was speaking at a council meeting. Very embarrassing. I think that's hilarious. Thank God we don't have smell-o-vision. Oh, Stephanie's here. Hi, Stephanie. Marianne. Oh, how can we get on your mailing list? Okay, so Marianne, all you have to do is, I have 3 mailing lists. Craft and Chat, which happens first Wednesday of every month. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Pop-up sew days that happen infrequently whenever my mood is there. And then the retreat. All you have to do is, my email address is in the show notes for all my videos, including this one today when it goes to rebroadcast. Just send me a note saying I'd like to be on 1, 2, or all 3 of the mailing lists, and I put you on. It's that easy. And make sure you have both your first and your last name, please. Teresa. Hello, Teresa. During the retreat and all Zooms, family must be advised that fully dressed is mandatory.
Unless you're really good looking.
Unless they're cute. Then, whatever. Laura says, I know, Stephen, I was kidding. Seeing quiet pets is encouraging. Okay, I knew you were. Gail's here. Hi, Gail from Maryland. Barb's here. I've never attended a Zoom. I'm a bit apprehensive about Barb. No. There is nothing to worry about. It is just pretty much like what we're doing now, except we'll see.
Well, it's like the Brady Bunch. They have you have a little window, and everybody talks to each other, and it's sort of like being in a physical retreat, except you're at home and you can just talk to everybody else. So,
if you want a practice session at any time or something, if to see your way around, drop me an email, and I can connect with you. I can set up a link and just connect with you privately, and you try it out. Let me know a day and a time or something, and I can do that for you. But it's so easy to use. You'll know how to use it within the first 5 minutes of using it.
And once you go, I'm sure that you'll enjoy it, because it's like being able to talk to a bunch of different people, and people will give tips and tricks and talk about stuff, and you can ask questions. And
it's very, very friendly. It's very relaxed. People get a lot of things done that they want to work on. You're under no obligation to have to start up a conversation or join into one. You can be just working away. I do ask, though, that people have their video on. So this is what I'm saying. The one problem you could have is your technical setup. If you have a relatively recent computer, like one that's been made in the last 5 or 10 years, something like that, if you have a built-in camera in it, you'll be fine.
That's a problem. Barb does not have a mic or camera on her computer.
Oh. Okay.
That may be a problem.
That may be a problem. Well, no, you could still connect, but we won't be able to see you or hear you. Now, there is a chat mode. So if you have a question or something you want to ask, you can put it in the chat mode. However, it means I'll be monitoring the chat mode as well, but it's a little bit more cumbersome for me to do that, but it's doable. So if you don't have those 2 devices on your computer, my God, is your computer made of stone?
She must have a desktop or something like that.
Yeah, there's something like that. But if you have a phone, a cell phone,
like a smartphone,
or
an iPad or something like that,
you can connect that way too, and because those will have cameras and sound. But as I said, but otherwise, if what'll come up is a square. that will show a line through your
Okay,
microphone.
she says she plans on purchasing a camera and a mic. A
Oh,
lot
okay.
of times the what do you call it? The webcams have mics
Mhm.
included in them.
If you buy a webcam, there's a microphone built right into them as well. So, and they're not that expensive anymore for a reasonably decent one. And I'm talking about like Logitech or a Logitech 920. I've used those for years, still use them around, and they work very, very well with this kind of setup too. So, um, yeah. But like I said, if you're worried, let me know, an email. I'll set up a time when the two of us can connect through Zoom and I can walk you through a few things on there, but it's very easy. You can also go to Zoom's website. I think it's zoom.us. Just do a search for Zoom. And they have all kinds of how to hook up. And in fact, there's so much information, it's information overload. But your questions can be answered there too as well. Judy says, you're a very generous person to plan this retreat. I know. Thank you, Judy. Uh, Tracy's here. Hey, Steph. Oh, trying to Stephanie Stitches. Okay, that's what I'm telling me, Steph. Hi, Jackie. Let's see. I'm just looking down here. Did I miss anything? Plan for camera. Yes, I have a desktop. Things like that. Okay. So, anyways, that's the stuff about the retreat. It'll be a lot of fun, and don't forget that the night before, on the Friday night, October the 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All my times are in Eastern Standard because that's what I'm in. We have a cocktail party, an icebreaker cocktail party. And the whole idea of that is it's through Zoom, which is a good practice too for anybody who's not quite as comfortable with Zoom for that. You bring along your favorite beverage, whatever that may be, alcohol or otherwise. Maybe bring, if you've got something to show us, bring that along if you want. No obligation whatsoever. And we just get together for a couple of hours, have general chit chat, munch on snacks, have our drinks, and we'll probably play a couple of games as well. And it's just so you feel a little bit more comfortable with other people that are going to be at the retreat. Now, not everybody is available on the Friday night, and I realize that, and that's fine. You don't have to be there. That's just something we do, and we usually have a good time at that. Okay, I think that's all I need to tell you right now about the retreat, but if anytime you have any questions whatsoever, just reach out to me, send me an email, I'll be happy to answer your questions. Okay, so next event. We're coming up into October, and so that means first Wednesday in October is always Craft and Chat. The link for Craft and Chat is in the show notes below of this one today, and it will be for the ones next week as well. And that's the link. And I also send it out to those of you that are on my Craft and Chat mailing list. It is sort of a mini retreat. We get together about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, my time, and we just work on whatever. It's very casual. Come and go as you please. You don't have to register for it or anything like that. You just show up if you're free and you're interested in doing that. So that's coming up October the 5th, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, something new. I had this brainstorm in the middle of the night, and I don't know if it's going to work or not. But some of you will already know what I'm talking about. And I'm calling it sort of on-demand get-togethers or sew and craft on demand. I've created this out of selfish reasons. It's all about me, but it usually is. So I sit here some days and Walter's doing whatever he's doing, actually mostly sleeping, if it's in the morning, because he doesn't know what morning sunlight looks like. And I'm an early riser. I'm an early morning person. So I get up, and after I've done the things I need to do in the morning, I sit down at my sewing machine and start to sew. And often I'll have YouTube on or my podcasts that I listen to on, and away I go. But it gets lonely. And I also find that some days I'm not very inspired. Like, you get that feeling where all you want to do is lay on a couch and veg in front of a television set and eat potato chips. Not saying that I do that. I'm just said I've heard that happens. He's being very quiet about this.
We don't have any potato chips in the house.
Well, you ate them all, didn't you? Yeah. Okay. But I thought, and I find that is waste of time. I feel like I'm wasting my day by doing something like that. So I need motivation. Well, I get a lot of motivation when I'm sewing with other people or crafting with other people, because this isn't just for sewers. This is for anybody that's doing something creative with it. So I have created a Zoom
Can
link.
people log on and watch you sew?
Yeah, they can. They can do whatever they want. Okay. When they come on, they can organize their underwear drawer, clean out the kitty litter. I don't care. Whatever. So what I've done is I have created what's called a reoccurring Zoom link. A reoccurring Zoom link means it's always the same and it's always there. So if I am online, you can see if I'm online. If you connect, you click on that Zoom link. And if I'm here, I'll let you in and we can sew together. It may be for an hour or 2 hours. It may be for half a day, a whole day. I may disappear at certain points, but I know I'm coming back. So I'll leave mine on and leave it on, and you can chat with other people or just carry on working with other people or whatever. That's what I'm thinking right now. This is an experiment. I did have it turned on this morning while I was working. After I sent out the email to anybody on the Craft and Chat and Pop-Up Sew Day list, you got this announcement about it. Nobody joined me, but it may have been too early. And then I went off, and then I noticed that a couple of people did try to join when I didn't have it on again. So when it's on, it will be within the first minute that I will let you into the room if I'm there. Okay. There isn't any way that I can indicate to you that I am actually now have that on. Okay. That there's no facility for that. Be kind of nice if there was, but there isn't in this case. So you just, if you feel like you'd like to sew with somebody or do something, be social or whatever, then you can click on the link. And if I'm there, I'll let you in. If I'm not there, I'm not home. I'm somewhere else. So I won't be doing it this Monday, because I won't be home on Monday because I'll be out at my class. So we'll try it, see what happens. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So that was the other thing I wanted to mention to you. So what people saying here? Ron says it's easier to mute the mic than the wife. I hope she's not sitting there listening to that, Ron.
Yeah, I say the same thing.
I want you to pick a finger. I'll give you a suggestion. That's the one. Wendy says, I would like to see just once everybody hit the like button at the same time. Well, blow up the system. I'd like to see that too. Mazil says, I sit and sew a lot alone too. This is a great idea, Stephen. Just can't drag my stuff out to sew anymore. Okay, well, drag it out. Come join us. Christine says, you use fabric shopping for me as an excuse to go to the USA for a vacation. Oh. And Dana says, sounds like a wonderful idea. And Barb says, you could post it on your community tab. Yeah, I could, but that would mean I'd have to do it every day, and I don't know when it's going to happen. And the only way people can see it on the community tab, if you're talking about, notice that I'm online right now, is they'd have to go there and see it. Now, if you're talking about I could post the link on the community tab, I could do that too, but it's just as easy for me to post it in the show notes because all I do is cut and paste, because that's part of my routine for it. So you'll find it. It's going to become right now a permanent part of my resource files that I always have underneath in the show notes for it, the link. Yeah, so check that out next week. I won't be on Monday. That I know for sure, because I've got to go to my class. But I'll probably be on during the week or throughout the week. So just check it out at various times in the day, and maybe you'll hit gold with it. Okay, so that takes me to I'm going to be on a virtual retreat this coming weekend from the Quilter's Way, Energize 6.0 with Kim Jamison Hurst, the owner of, runner of, hostess with the mostest of the Quilter's Way. Always a fun time. Unfortunately, I can't give you a link to that because it is a private group. Well, that's not completely true. She has decided that she has opened it up to non-members, but there's a fee. I think it's $49.99 for people who belong to her Chatterbox Quilts crew, and $59.99 for people who are non-members completely of anything that she has. If you want to check that out, just do a search on Google for Chatterbox Quilts, and you'll find all that information for that. It's always a lot of fun. We always have a good time. Dana, who's on here right now, is a founding member, as I am as well, which means that we've been there since day one when Kim put this up several years ago. And this will be the 6th retreat that she's had. So it's fun. It's a Zoom retreat. Okay. So we have a frog, a pet frog. Freddy the Frog. I call him Freddy the Frog. Freddy the Frog is a tree frog. And Walter discovered him. How did you discover him?
Well, I kept hearing this weird noise on our deck. And what happens is I was a little lazy and didn't recover our barbecue. And I had our barbecue cover was laying on the deck. And my neighbor doesn't cover their barbecues, so I wasn't sure whether it was a problem. But anyway, so I had it laying out there for a few days. And I kept hearing this weird sound. And to me, at first, I thought it was like a squirrel or something like that. So I kept looking out to see if I could find a squirrel or something. I didn't see it. And then I went finally to pick up the barbecue cover, and out came this little frog from the barbecue cover. And I thought to myself, I wonder if that's what was making the noise. Yeah. So I went online and I looked up that frog. It's a gray tree frog. It's indigenous to our area or whatever. And they had a sample sound of the gray tree frog that they make, and it matched the sound that I was hearing.
Yep.
So anyway, I thought, well, I put the cover back on the barbecue, and the frog hopped underneath the barbecue. And
frog's legs, yum.
Yeah, and so I thought, okay, that's done. He's not in there anymore, and the barbecue cover's up. But I kept hearing him, and I don't know where he was. But I think he actually crawled up underneath the cover of the barbecue again while it was on the barbecue. So, which I was a little worried about because I didn't want fried frog.
You want fried the frog?
Yeah, well, I mean, I took the barbecue cover back off again. So then I went and I went and caught him and took him out to the front
Well,
yard.
you caught him in a box.
Yeah, I did.
And we took him out and dropped him in the front flower yard, but he was hanging onto the box. He's got sticky little toes, and they just like this, right?
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, he's only
a little guy,
this big or whatever. Anyway, so I put him out in the front garden, and about 3 or 4 days passed, right? And I heard him again in the back. And he had crawled back. He managed to get his way all the way from the front of the house to the back of the house.
And up to the deck.
And up to our deck.
Which is 1 story up.
Yeah, our deck is like 12 feet off the ground. So he crawled back up, got back into the barbecue cover again.
And that's where he lives.
And right now, I've got the barbecue cover on a chair and the barbecue, and the frog's inside the barbecue cover.
Don't know what we're going to do when the weather gets colder and it ices over there, because we got to put the barbecue cover back on. So we have Freddy the Frog. We have a pet. Beats the stupid squirrel, though, who keeps eating our tomatoes. Little bugger. But yeah, that's what we get for living next to a forest. So we got Freddy the Frog.
Yeah, the old squirrel was sitting there munching on a tomato, looking in through our window.
Yeah, going, got any hot sauce for this? Or whatever. Patsy says, Walter, that would have scared the bejesus out of me.
Nah, frogs don't bother me that much.
No.
I just don't like when they'll spray.
Yeah, they will.
And you get gunk on you. But
we had years ago with Cleo, our cat.
Our cat.
She was out under the deck. You know, that's our
We
sitting
have an
area.
area underneath the deck that's sort of enclosed, and we have some chairs there and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so you could let her out, and she could wander around underneath there, type of thing, right?
Yeah, so she did, and suddenly we heard this noise coming out of her and the whole bit, and looked at her, and she was foaming at the mouth, and we didn't know what happened to her, but and her eyes were all like closed up in the whole bit, and then we found the culprit. It was a toad, and she was attacking, or you know what cats do, you know, flipping things around with the toad, and the toad sprayed her right in the face, and we didn't know if this was going to be fatal or whatnot, so we phoned the vet immediately, and the vet started to laugh. In fact, the whole vet in there, a bunch of them, I must have had on speakerphone, they were all laughing their heads off at it. My poor cat, I'm standing there with this cat foaming at the mouth, and she's rubbing her face and the whole bit, the poor little thing. And he said, yeah, he said, take a wet washcloth and just, you know, wipe her eyes and her face and that kind of thing. It'll go away. Okay, it's okay. It won't harm her. It's probably stinging her eyes right now a little bit, but yeah. So toads can, and frogs can, look after themselves apparently, with it all when they're threatened. So anyways, yeah, that's our new pet, Freddy the Frog. I'm sure if we get him on a little leash and hop him down the street, you know, every day. Oh, see our frog? There's a guy that walks his cat, so what the heck, why not walk a frog? Oh, hi, Faith. Loves the idea of sewing randomly. Oh, Ma, I see what you mean. You mean lugging all your stuff to the actual physical retreats and that kind of thing. Yeah, we're not doing that anymore either. Zoom is so much better. You have everything at your fingertips, you know. You can't forget anything because it's there.
So squirrels leave their food remains on my kitchen windowsill all the time. Not unusual to find chicken bones. Okay, how does squirrel? Do you have chickens in the backyard? Squirrels are killing them, and
you know, probably stealing them out of the garbage.
Yeah, more or less.
I didn't know a squirrel would eat though meat.
I think they're scavengers. I think they'll eat just about
Maybe.
anything.
Okay.
They don't like peppers though, thank God.
No, good thing, because our peppers are on really well. Angel, we have great peppers right now. We have yellow peppers and green peppers. We ate the red with that, so they're doing well. Okay, so I don't know how many of you saw the interview on Handmade by Ying with Donna, that YouTube channel. We were interviewed on Monday, and I think it went up on Tuesday with Donna, and we thought we'd do a little follow-up about the interview because there were some very difficult questions that we had to answer, tried to answer. In fact, they were difficult not because of what they were asking, it was how they were asking, because we didn't understand some of them with that. But one of the
Jenny says there's a nut job walking a good sized alligator in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
They wouldn't be allowed here. I don't think they're allowed to have
No.
them in Ontario, those kinds of
exotic. We have bylaws against that kind of stuff. So you walk out and go, did your alligator bite? Ticky.
Just squirrels getting into someone's trash.
Yeah.
We have our wet we have to separate our wet garbage, and our wet garbage is in sealed containers. So.
Yeah. So the squirrels aren't eating that right now. But anyways, we had this interview, and as I said, we had a lot of questions, but one of the questions we had, somebody was asking about if I had a pattern for making an album in a box. And I had to think about what they're talking about, and they said it was in 2013 when I made the video. So I vaguely remembered this because that was in my pre-quilting days. That's when I was big into making like journals and albums and all kinds of things. I was even doing bookbinding at the time. So I went back and I found the video. And yes, I had a box that I covered with stuff, and it had 3 little albums in it for pictures for the year, like for 2013 was the idea behind it. And I had to say to the person, no, I don't have a pattern for that because I just made it up out of my head. So anyways, I thought they wanted to know if I was going to do more videos about album making. No, I don't do that anymore. I'm completely a quilter or machine embroiderer. I even got rid of most of my equipment that I used to use for making things like that or for doing paper crafting. That was another life when I did all that. I did it, had fun while doing it, enjoyed it, found a new hobby, and that's what I'm on now. And Walter's afraid that I'll stop this hobby and then we'll be stuck with a long arm. No, that's not going to happen. No. Because I started doing some crocheting this week. I haven't crocheted since, well, probably in 30,
Granny
30,
squares.
40 years. Well, I had to go back to basics because I had forgotten. It's coming back to me now, but it was just something to clear your mind. Like, I've got all these projects on the go that I'm working on right now, and sometimes it becomes a little overwhelming. So I thought, well, maybe it's something I could do in front of the TV set, kind of a deal. Because there's no way I don't do hand sewing. Because you know that I'd be covered in blood. So I thought I'd try that. But anyways, back to this interview thing. So they want to know if I would do tutorials or do patterns and stuff. And I said, no, I won't. But I thought you might be interested in seeing a picture of a few. I got rid of most of my albums that I had made when I had the big clean out, but I held on to a couple of them. So I thought I'd show you a picture here. If I get it up on the screen. So here's 3 of the type of albums I used to make. Yeah, I didn't take a picture of what they look like when they're opened up, but they're all interactive. They have pockets in them and frames and things and spots where you can journal in them and all that kind of stuff. And they were a lot of fun to make when I made them at the time. But can you have too many journals? Oh, yes, you can. Can you give them to people? No. These kind of journals you can only give to people who appreciate this kind of thing, and usually they're making their own. Because if you give something like this, I made a very elaborate journal for a friend of mine who was having, was her 50th birthday, I think, at the time, or what, remember, Patricia, we went to the yacht club. And I spent a lot of time on that. I was very proud of it. I thought it was really good. I can guarantee you that album probably doesn't exist today, or is buried in a box someplace in storage, because nothing against the person I gave it to, but they don't have, it's like quilts for non-quilters. They don't appreciate what we do, kind of a thing. So it's the same with making journals. So after a while you make all these journals, and what are you going to do with them? So that was one thing. Just seeing what people are saying here. Gail says, oh, I love your old videos. I still haven't watched all of them, but have fun watching them. And Andy says, I was watching you when you were making your albums. Yep. And Judy remembers when I did those. Yeah. Well, those were my early videos too, when I was just getting into making videos and stuff. And that was another question we got asked, and I still don't understand what the question was asking. They wanted to know what our equipment was. Or something
For making videos, because I think it was because they were trying to start up the YouTube channel. So,
and a lot of people, that some of those questions that came through on that interview assume that we do this as a business.
Yeah,
and we don't. But there seems to be a lot of people who want to make make videos as a business. And believe me, I think it's only a small percentage of the people that are content creators on YouTube that actually make money, can make a living from it. And it's a full-time job. And you have to have next to professional, if not professional equipment for it. And you probably need a bit of a team to put it all together. So yeah, money can be made, but it's a
long process, and you need to pick a subject that you get lots and lots of followers and stuff like that. So.
Like Alex on Curiosity Inc. I'm sure he's making a lot of money because any one of his videos has 50,000 views or more on it. It goes up, and he also comes from a production background as well, and he knows how to, make the videos. He knows the editing software and the whole bit. It's not his sole income, but he makes a good living from it, believe me, because the more people you have, the more you make on advertising, because you only make a couple of cents per view on.
Actually, I think you only make a fraction of a cent.
I think it's even a fraction of a cent, yeah. So, yeah. So that was interesting. We couldn't really help them out with that much. Now, another thing though was they were asking it. They all want to know about Walter on there. I'm not upset. No, I'm not. I just said I wouldn't cry during this. No, which was fine. But they asked him how he got into sewing and what he did. And we were talking about some of his early creations. And one of those creations was Minnie Mouse outfit. And here's what I'm talking about. This is the Minnie Mouse outfit that he made.
Well, technically, I
dress.
didn't make the ears. The ears are kind of flopping down on there. My sister made a Mickey Mouse costume for kids, and I just took the ears that she made and took some of the stuffing out of them. So we used them. But with the dress, we were a little skinnier those days.
Yeah, we were.
I was about 35 years old, 36 years old when I made those.
Yeah.
No, I was probably in my early 30s when I made those.
Well, it was just after we moved into the first house, and we were 30
also
when we
it would have
moved
been
into the first house. So
1989 or so.
yeah, so
And
we're about 32, 33.
we were a little skinnier. So the dress hung a little lower. But I just had my mother's sewing machine, and we were going to a Halloween costume. So I just said, okay, I got some cheap gingham fabric and took a sweatshirt and sort of said, okay, cut the fabric out based on the sweatshirt, and then sort of sewed the skirt thing on the bottom. I mean, it wasn't really, you can see it's pretty basic, but I just did it all out of my head, and it worked out okay. It works out okay as a costume. It's what, 40 years later, and it's still,
well, it's not 40 years later.
30 years later, and it's still.
Well, I've worn it more than one time. The very first time we wore I wore this. Walter went as Mickey Mouse. I went as Minnie Mouse to this thing we went to, and they had prizes, but not couples prizes. And everybody's telling us we should have won, and we should have. But I wore it to school on Halloween, like staff dress up kind of a thing. The kids can too as well. And I'm talking high school. I won a prize for that as well. But the best part was, and if you see these pictures, okay, and I was skinnier in those days, the shoes, I'm not wearing the shoes there. Yeah, there they are. The shoes below. Actually, they're sparkly, but didn't show
those
up in the
ones
picture.
aren't sparkly.
No, those aren't.
You bought different ones.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The other shoes.
That's the one that's the day you went to school with it on.
Yeah. So I had heels and everything with that. So the vice principal called me into her office because she needed to speak to me about something. So I went in, sat down, crossed my legs, and said, uh-huh. She says, I can't talk to you when you're dressed like that. She says, I just can't. And I was playing it up too. But the kids had a lot of fun with it. And yeah. I was surprised, though, I could get into it at that point. So you did make it generous.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
I don't think I could get into it now. No way. But then the other thing that they were asked Walter is what was his first quilt? Well, Walter's first quilt was not a quilt. It was a wall hanging. It was a landscape wall hanging. And
it was like a stained glass type wall hanging.
And there
I've shown it on here before.
Yeah.
But that's the result. That's the first thing I sewed on my 6700P when I didn't even know how to use it.
He didn't even know what a quarter-inch seam allowance was or anything like that. Like, not that you really
and that's all
that.
applique. So, I mean, it's raw edge sort of applique. It's just stitched on with regular stitches.
And it's also, if I can blow it up, I don't know if it'll show, but you did thread painting on this, didn't you?
Yeah, it doesn't show up in that
No, it doesn't
photo.
show up in that photo, no. But he did thread painting on it. Remember, this was his first, okay? Makes me just sick. My first quilt, wonky as hell. And then he makes something like this. But anyways, we thought, because people were asking, we thought we'd show this because we didn't show.
Actually, that's an old picture because that one doesn't even have
it doesn't have binding on it yet. No.
Yeah, it's just the front, I guess.
And we still don't have that hanging up anywhere.
No.
And we should.
It's laying in the bottom of my closet.
Well, I know where we can put it.
Okay.
In the hallway, down there by the bedroom. That would work there. Okay, so let's go back. Cheryl says, Funny, she picked up crocheting again, putting edges on fleece throws for donation. M's watching the old
You've
videos.
got this all coming up
Oh,
here.
I've got the wrong switch here. Switch over. There we go. And Faith says, I agree. I had to narrow my crafting to one I love most, sewing. Yep. Oh, and Laura says, this is how she discovered my channel. That was one of my very first crafting videos. May have been the first one, actually. Gingham works for everything, doesn't it? Gail says. Very nice, Walter. Love the stained glass quilt. Beautiful. Well, Walter, that's awesome.
Yeah, I picked the fabrics because I had done stained glass, regular stained glass before. I picked the fabric based on what I would do if it was glass. So actually, that added to coming out nice. So
now, another thing as we talk about YouTube videos, something we have noticed a trend in lately, and it absolutely annoys the hell out of us. You know how on YouTube you get interrupted with advertising, and some of them you can skip and some of them you can't. That has nothing to do with the creators. That has everything to do with YouTube. That's just the way it works. However, now there are some YouTube creators who actually are doing advertisements themselves about products that they're affiliated with. And they're very annoying. And I'm going to give you a good example. Karen Brown from Just Get It Done Quilts has been advertising some sort of bed in a box.
well, and then on another day at Skillshare or another day at some other company.
They are absolutely annoying when people do it. And she's not the only one that's just mentioned her, because that's the ones that I've been finding a lot of lately on her videos. And don't get me wrong, I think her videos are very good and everything like that. But these advertisements, I have been approached, all content creators are, by these third-party companies that want you to advertise their product. And many of them are fly-by-night. Many of them, I think, are phishing. I don't think they're actually legit. I ignore them when I get those emails. I'm not getting caught up in that. But there's a lot of content creators out there that are doing this. And, you know,
I mean, you get the content creators will get money from regular YouTube advertising if they're monetized. If they get a lot of views, then they get more money. You get a little teeny bit of money, but not much. But then some have Patreon, where they can get other money if they need money. I think when you're doing content, you don't really need to have to hear another commercial in the content, right? And it's annoying when I get that, when I see that or hear that on something. And more content creators are doing that. So, I mean, especially in someone's case that when they do, I mean, if they're doing it because they really believe in the product or whatever, and or whatever, but or if the product is associated with what the YouTube channel is. But a lot of the times it has nothing to do with what the YouTube channel has.
Mattresses have nothing to do with quilting.
Other than you put a quilt on the mattress.
Put a quilt on it, I guess. Whatever. Now, Andy says, do you know how much money the content creators get? I have no idea, but I don't imagine it's a lot. But it must be enough that it's worth their while to actually do that. Now, another one that was very annoying is, again, I'll go back to Alex on Curiosity Inc. He was doing for one of those food services, like
Go Fresh or
whatever they call it, that kind of stuff. He was doing a bunch of those. He's done them for other products too. Not as frequently as
It's like they did a few of them and then they've sort of stopped doing them. So it couldn't be that lucrative to do it.
No. Plus, you have to do it. Like, that eats into your content creation time as well for all of it. Do you need something else like that? I don't know. I've never investigated it further, and I'm not going to.
Like, it's these manufacturers are circumventing the way YouTube does their own advertising and adding this other advertising within somebody's own show. And basically, it's a non-skippable commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Sherry says the ads drive me crazy, especially when it's the YouTuber doing it. Yes. Um, and Angel says premium. I miss most ads. The creator ads I usually don't pay attention to. Yeah, but I'm cheap. I won't pay for the premium on YouTube. I'll just fast forward.
Yeah, but see, if you Angel, if you're in premium and the creator's doing the YouTube
You
or
can't.
the
You
ad
yeah.
within their presentation, then it's basically a non-skippable
Yeah. So
advertisement.
you could sort of fast forward through it. But it's still that's annoying. That you shouldn't have to do that. Gail says I also don't like every creator who is selling for other creators who are gifting each other. Sick of it. I stopped watching 90% of FlossTube. I stopped watching Alex because he doesn't respond. You mean Alex as in Curiosity Inc? Yeah, he probably doesn't respond because he has so many viewers.
Yeah, he
With the
has thousands and thousands of viewers. So
yeah,
yeah, for him to respond
he
is
probably
he
can't.
also did things like I don't know if he's been doing it lately. He used to do super chats and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like
well
that.
he hasn't done a lot of live
No,
like he used to, but he was getting super chats as well, and that's basically where I can set mine up for super chat too. I don't. Okay.
but you don't have a ton of followers,
No,
so.
I don't. But it's the point of it.
Hmm.
Like yeah, people tip supposedly, and you're not really getting anything for that. I mean, so your comment rises to the top. And so the content creator now has sort of an obligation to acknowledge you. Well, you don't have to pay me for me to acknowledge you. I try to acknowledge everybody on here and go over with it too. And just as an aside, it made me think of this. One thing that annoys me about people who when they do live uh YouTubes and there's like what we have today, a chat part, they just talk as though everybody knows what you're talking about on the chat. They don't. I repeat what you have written so people can keep up with the thread because they may not see it because things go by very fast. On top of it all, when this is rebroadcast, and if you're on a device that will show the chat, um, you might not be, or it doesn't show the chat. Like if you have it on an Apple TV or something like that, or some devices don't show the chat in the rebroadcast, then you have no idea what's going on. What if they don't, you know, reiterate the question or the comment because they can't see it. Um, Cheryl says my grandson showed me a website that shows how much each YouTube channel earns. I'll have to ask him for the website again. Ooh, that would be interesting. Um, and when Andy says when I get sick of commercials, I switch over and watch videos that come up on Facebook. Yeah. And Gail says yes, super chats are rude. And there's another new one too. It's called Buy Me a Coffee. That is a third party thing that you can link into. I kind of looked into it, but it's the same thing as a super chat in a way. Um, I don't have a problem with Patreon because Patreon doesn't interfere with the flow of someone's video. And if you want to get extra bonus videos or whatever they're offering and you want to pay for that, then that's fine. I don't have a problem with Patreon. I won't do one because I have nothing to offer. Because my idea is, if you're going to pay me, I should be giving you some value for your money. Okay, so no. Um, Eddie says it's not only the ads, but also the way the creators segue into the ad. I'm about to set myself on fire, but first I need a meal from HelloFresh. Yeah, that's true, Eddie. That's true. Yeah. Barb says getting the dreaded political ads now. I turned down the sound. Yep. I mean, it was inevitable for the ads on something like this. I mean, that was the thing. YouTube was ad free when it first got started, but that wasn't going to last.
I'm surprised that somehow YouTube hasn't tapped into the fact that creators are doing these other ads because I doubt YouTube's getting any revenue from that.
Oh, from those? No, I don't think
No.
so. They're not. No, no. Um, Nans says, Nan's house. Hi, Dan. Nanas, is this? It's this type of magical work that gives me motivation to try, even though I have no idea what I'm doing.
Okay.
Okay. Not sure what you mean, but anyways, um, Laura says Social Blade is a website that shows supposedly why YouTube channels make. I don't know how accurate it is. Its spreads are so wide.
Should go have a take a look.
We'll have to take a look at that. That'll be interesting. Faith says one creator actually got a large lawnmower tractor. They have 500,000 subscribers. Well, Alex built a brand new house. I don't think it was all paid for from YouTube revenue, but I have a feeling that it helped in a great deal with that.
Well, no, I think what they're saying, they have 500 subscribers, so they got a large lawnmower tractor from whatever they're promoting.
Yeah. There are.
I mean,
freebies.
if you have 500,000 subscribers, it's advertising. It's sort of free advertising for them to a large subscriber base, right? So if you're a manufacturer, sure, give them something that you manufacture and let them advertise.
Yeah. Well, none of them reached out to offer me a lawnmower. So
YouTube gets 30% from super chats.
Yeah. Oh, and Google takes for AdSense for the money that you make from the advertisements, the standard ones that you can't do much about if you're monetized with those. They take 30% every month from my revenue from that for U.S. taxes. And in order for me to get that money back, I'd have to go through an accountant. And yeah, I'm small potatoes. That's not going to happen because, I'm just not going to do that. Social Blade. Yeah. So you'll have to check that one out, Walter, and see what we find out.
Yeah.
So another thing, though, that's kind of annoying, but has nothing to do with YouTube. Walter's been on it for a while. I just got on it the other day. It's this new app. Well, it's not so new now, but they're everywhere. They're called Neighbors. The Neighbors app.
No, it's next door.
The one I'm on is Neighbors.
The one I'm on is next door.
Well, mine's called Neighbors. But whatever. And what it is supposedly it's sort of a social group. It's like Facebook without using Facebook, where you can chat with other people in your area about things. Well, my God, the things these people talk about and are on there. All they do is bitch and complain. Somebody had a picture where somebody had parked their small boat on its trailer across 3 parking spots in a public parking area. And they were bitching about how many spots they were taking up. Other ones need help screwing in a light bulb.
Yeah, I know. It has been beneficial in that we found out that our local municipality passed a law or a bylaw that would change the way our services, our water services and that work, or what we were responsible for our water services. And they did that without telling anybody that lived in the city about it. And because of this Nextdoor app, people started to complain to the city about this law that was secretly passed. And now they have repealed it. So,
I mean, it does have its benefits. Oh, no, it's Nextdoor. Yeah, you're right again. I stand corrected. I should have known. But anyways, there is some comedy going on.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes there's stuff on there. You wonder what people post.
And some of it is spooky.
And
I'm going out for a walk at midnight. Anybody want to join me? Huh?
Oh, well, you know what they're looking for.
Yeah, I know. Okay, no, scary, very scary on there. But also, speaking of very scary things, I am baiting the politicians on our city
the municipal
council.
Election comes in
October
24th. And yeah, he's been...
I'm not baiting them. I don't know. These people that are running for our ward, there are 6 running for our ward. I don't know anything about them. Nothing. I went onto YouTube and I Googled them, and some of them have websites, but to tell you diddly squat about them. So I thought, okay, I got time for this. I wrote a question. And I wrote a question about the increase in crime in our particular ward. And that's a serious question because there has been. And in violent crime as well. We're not used to that where we live because that hasn't been something we've had for quite a few years, except there's a lot of development going on just slightly north of where we live. And that's where it's coming from, a lot of it. And, we hear things that might be a backfire of a car or fireworks, although it isn't the time of year for fireworks. So we're not sure. And there have been some reports of gun violence too. So I asked the question about if they were elected, what their stand was on that, how they would, what they would do to protect the community and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. So I sent that out to each one of the candidates. I got 3 candidates have answered me to date. I sent this out the middle of last week. One candidate basically gave me a 2-sentence thing saying, oh yeah, they also live in our ward as well, and they're very concerned about this increase as well, and would be really thrilled to talk to me further about it at a time convenient to me. Something. So I gave them my phone number. They had my email address already and said, give me a call. I'm home most days. About that. Haven't heard from them since. So basically, you know what that was. That was just bullshit. Another one wrote me this very, insulting and attacking email. No, we can't do anything about it because police services don't fall underneath the city's jurisdiction, and they look after it all, and they report, they give us presentations about what they're doing, and we have no say in it. We can't do anything. And if you have a problem with it, just call the police. I went, that's not the answer that you should be getting from a politician, because we elect you to serve us and to look after our best interests and that kind of thing. So I wrote that basically back to her. And she wrote me another bullshit answer with it, saying the same thing. The onus is on the public, not on anybody else to do it. So I'm not voting for her. The third one, he wrote me something that sounded very political, but a little detailed. But I wrote back to him and said, okay, to be honest, what you wrote to me sounds like the type of answer I would get from a politician. And I said some other things. I'm very nice, very diplomatic in the emails that I send them. Well, he wrote back to me yesterday, and he wrote me a very detailed explanation of what he plans to do. And it was very reasonable, and I think very workable, although there'll be some problems. He's not on the council right now. He's a retired firefighter who's also worked with all forms, he says, of government, all levels of government for different things like this and whatnot. And so I wrote back and I appreciated his answer, because right now I'm keeping a chart. I have some categories and I'm rating them, what they tell me.
And then and a few other ones that you had written to.
No answer.
No answer.
So I wrote to them again this morning and mentioned to them that I had gotten 3 of the other candidates had responded to my question. I also put in the fact that I'm posting their responses, my questions and my responses and their responses on my Facebook page. And I've been doing that as well. Just call me shit disturber. But you want to know something? These people sit on their asses on city councils. And I think this is true about most municipal governments. They get in there, they sit, they warm the chair, they get a paycheck, and sometimes get a free car to use or something like that. And they don't do anything. They're very ineffectual. So, they're running right now. It's a good time to hit them between the eyes with a reality check. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just a bastard. Yeah. So what are people saying here? Paula says, Neighborhood Watch is here. Some days it makes me shake my head. Yeah, well, he mentioned this one politician, the one that right now is most favorable in my mind to vote for. He mentioned Neighborhood Watch and the programs and I said, and my reply back to that was, yes, Neighborhood Watch is good, but I think it's something that needs to be looked at in more detail, because all you ever see of Neighborhood Watch basically in our area is a poster that says Neighborhood Watch. And you don't hear anything about it. You don't know what the procedures are or anything like that. So, I'm not sure. I think that is sort of a smoke and mirrors kind of a thing as an organization to give people sense that they have some control and can do something about what's happening in their neighborhood. Don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I haven't experienced it beyond reading the posters. Gail says, "Oh my God, I'm on next door. I didn't know my neighbors were so stupid. A lot of missing pets are found." That is exactly it. Yeah, if you want to hang out with stupid people but find a pet, join next door. Yeah, that should be their motto. Angel says, "Wow, Playboard has your channel. Does it? What's it say, Angel?" Canned answers, gotta love it. Tracy says, "Sure, I signed up for it thinking it was just my small city, but it includes suburbs that are not in my neighborhood. I have to admit, I enjoy seeing the crimes in safer cities than ours." Yeah, I was referring to the quilt, but I'm behind in the chat. Oh, okay, Nana. Paul says, "I must have nosy neighbors. Some sees a lot." Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, all of these interesting things that are out there. I guess there's no lack of entertainment for you if you want to find it on, on the internet. Barb says, "Ever notice how politicians always say what they're going to do, but not how they're going to do it, and it seldom gets done?" Yeah. And actually, that was in my response as well. Once the election is over, these chair warmers just blend back into the background. You hear nothing from them until 4 years later when there's another election with it all. I mean, I couldn't tell you what our mayor has done.
No.
Haven't got a clue about it. And I didn't
Except for, we always call the ribbon cutters.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, yeah, the ribbon cutters. Yeah. Hello, we're opening another Starbucks or something. Now, the one that represents our ward right now, who sits on city council and is running for re-election, we think she's an insurance agent.
No, she's a real estate agent.
Or a real estate agent. Yeah, real estate agent. And her answer, she's the one that was annoying and was basically attacking me for asking such a question. That bitch is not getting my vote. I can tell you that.
She got in because she got all her real estate friends to the. Apparently, there were 60 real estate agents last time there was an election running in Ontario, and out of the 60, 20 of them got in, and it's basically because all the real estate agents voted for them.
And I mean, real estate agents are pretty much like used car salesmen. It's kind of slimy. So there you go. That's what you want on your city council. No, but the reality is, the turnout to vote on a city municipal is probably less than 30%, if it's even as high as that, because people just don't give a shit. And the reason they don't give a shit is because they haven't got a clue what's going on. And so if it's something isn't affecting them directly and making their life miserable, they say the hell with it. So this is just my little way of being an educated voter and to spread whatever I can via Facebook. Which maybe is not the best source for this kind of thing, but it gives me an outlet, and we'll just see if I get any answers from the other three with this. But anyways, so I think that's it for today. We're actually a little longer than usual, but there was so much.
Yeah, Mozilla says Facebook community groups are either hilarious or... Actually, they've got some interesting ones, like Bears in the Kitchen.
I don't find these ones, but that's what you are searching for late at night.
No, they just popped up, and I thought, okay, this is kind of interesting.
Are they dressed?
Yes.
Okay.
They're dressed. They're actually making recipes.
Oh, okay. Have you tried any?
No, I just thought it was interesting.
Okay. Angel says it's definitely not an updated showing of your YouTube. Oh, no, probably not. They probably don't keep up. I'm not that biggest concern. I do have almost 7,500 subscribers. Woo! Let the bell swing and the banners fly. Yay! So like me, people.
And you're definitely not rich.
Nope, not. So, lots of things coming up. Craft and Chat in another week's time, but we'll be on here to talk more about that before that date, because we have Stephen Walter live next Sunday, and it's after that when that happens. There's that new thing, my sew and craft on demand kind of YouTube, not YouTube, Zoom thing. And you'll find the link for that in the show notes below. And you'll find links for the update and all that good stuff. So if you haven't already signed up or registered for the retreat, you might want to do it soon, because every day, and I only put that announcement out on Friday, it's been going up. So, you snooze, you lose. Simple as that. Okay, everybody, have a good whatever's left of today and a good week, and we'll talk to everybody later.
Yep.
See you then. Say goodbye,
Yeah,
Walter.
goodbye.